Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House Cars for the 2024 season, where the presenters haven't played professional rugby league.
Listen, I'll let you have 2 weeks off, and we have the Dougie stand on Twitter clipping our videos and falling headfirst for Smudger, pretending not to know who Bevan French is. We have people saying because we've not played rugby. I mean, I haven't played rugby since school, mainly because I was absolutely terrible at it. People having a go because we haven't played any kind of level of rugby. Who else? I mean, there's plenty of others. We've been called all the names under the sun. Can't go away again, Dave.
I keep the semblance of order. Let them throw.
I mean, that's saying something as well.
You know what? I have to say,
different...
the Smudge one, where he pretended he didn't know who the Wigan players were, and the fact that a Wigan fan has fell for it hook, line, and sinker, I thought was absolutely hilarious.
I said there's some who should know better, but I mean, the fact that they've clipped it and the kind of anger with it, they've just beaten us to 0, and they're getting the knickers in a twist over it, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He's done it before. The only surprise was I didn't have to yellow either him or Mr. Howarth for swearing, even though we were stood behind. Oh, that's another thing. The mic as well got to mention because I was using a £10 plug-in mic, so
it worked well.
Can't wait. You know what? It did, especially the whole KR game, because it picked up a whole KR fan swearing as he walked past.
But yeah, is that the bit I edited out for you while I was in Tenerife?
Yes, that is the bit. I was going to try it myself. But couldn't be
in international media production. Do you know what? I gave up that Saturday afternoon in Tenerife to go and sit down out the sunshine. I watched Everton get nilled, and then I watched Saints get nilled. Grim.
Absolute shocker.
And then last Saturday, I had the choice between Everton and Saints and Hull KR. You can't wake up with one on that one. What's that? Right, we will get going, Kev. Plenty to talk about. With news coming out today. He felt like a new start. He can't spell Feldt, and we can't spell Staart.
I mean, come on. It's a brilliant pull. I'm quite happy with it. But it's better than your Whitley Bay one that you did the other week.
I'll let people think and work out whether it was intentional or not.
Yes, fair enough. Fair enough.
Listen, my Whitley Bay one was genius.
You know what? I actually thought after George Whitby had been named how you were going to possibly get a pun in from Whitley Bay to Whitby. I didn't know if you'd try and come up with one, so we'll leave that with you.
No, but I did enjoy his little kick where he scampied through for the try.
The good people who watch this have had to put up with no puns, and I don't know if they're better for it.
You know what, Kev? I just actually came up with that on the fly. That's how good I am. Anyway, Kyle Feldt is a saint. It would help if he had fingers. I've just noticed.
That's not part of your cropping, is it?
That's 100% the club.
Fair enough.
He won't be scoring with his fingertips.
Listen, as long as you get to like some ball and some tries for us, I think that's all that we'll care about. I think what's Tommy on 11 tries this year. Wonga, who's played a little bit of right wing, has had some look down that side, and we'll be surprised if we're not touching around 20 tries down that right wing. If that's where he's going to play, then hopefully he gets a little bit more ball, a little bit more settled centre partner, and he can carry on adding to those numbers.
Yeah, 148 tries in 214 NRL appearances. Plays 20 odd plus matches a year, so his fitness isn't in question. North Queensland Cowboys wanted to retain him. He's second top try scorer in the NRL. Nobody can complain about this signing. I know we've had conversations about players' ages and whether he should be given contracts, but at the level he is playing at, you've got to take that chance, haven't you, and hope that it's going to be able to be continued for the next few years.
Yeah, you've said people can't complain about it, but I have seen people complaining about it, saying we should be looking to the future. I think this is almost a perfect. I'm doing him a disservice, I think, saying it's a perfect bridging signing. That for 2 years we're getting someone who still wanted in the NRL. Judging by his performance this week, can still do a job in the NRL. Yeah, his age is something that kind of pops into mind. I always think now, and I think we're a little bit tarnished by it, of Joel Thompson coming over here and being highly thought of, but not quite being able to do it over here. But hopefully out on the wing rather than in the forwards. His body's probably, I don't want to say more protected, but hopefully he's not quite gone through the amount of work. That said, he's known for being able to do the big carries on the exit set. So, yeah, you kind of see the age, and my first thought was that I'm not sure about this one. I wasn't necessarily enamoured with it. The more I think we're quite open, we don't really watch the NRL. The more that I've seen of him, the more that whether that's just me making it make sense for myself, in that it gives you Deon Sambu, your Owen Dagnalls, your people who are coming through another couple of years, someone with experience to learn from, and gives you that chance to kind of get better as a young lad coming through the system.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is the fact that he would be first choice winger for North Queensland next season in the NRL if he stayed there shows he's more than capable of doing a job in Super League. I know years ago, basically Saints had a policy, didn't they, that we didn't give anybody over the age of 30 more than like a year's deal, and we got burned maybe on Lee Gilmore with that. I've seen a really good comment on one of the social media channels from a fan. I'm really sorry that I can't remember the name of the person who posted it, who basically said, with the developments in sports science and nutrition and everything else, 32 is actually like the new 30.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess of Lee Gilmore and the likes being at the club, things have changed. He's obviously looked after himself. He's obviously still doing it, or else he won't be getting picked by the Cowboys. Hopefully, it's a good signing for us. It proves when he turns up over here and pulls a shirt on and sees how many performances and games we get out of him. I think that's the same when it comes to any signing of ours.
Absolutely, yeah.
Even your young lads coming through, a lot of pressure will be heaped onto halfbacks, onto young forwards. Is he as good as him? Is he going to be like him? Etc. Etc. Proofs in the playing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do look forward to the YouTube comments from all the sports scientists saying, "You've not got a sports science degree. How can you comment on such matters?" Yeah, I seem to remember when we signed Lachlan Coote, and when you looked at some of the social media at that point, there was a lot not enamoured with the signing, with his age, and look how he turned out. And equally, I think the way it is these days, you're either going to get players who are 24, 25 from the NRL who haven't quite cut it over there and aren't capable of maintaining a starting 17 jersey there, who come over, the likes of Bevan French, Jai Field, who can blow Super League away. Your Wonga Blakes. Yeah. Or you are going to get bona fide superstars, but right at the end of their careers, which maybe is a little bit of a disservice to Kyle Feldt. He'll be hoping he can do 2 years and maybe stretch it further than that. It is a wait and see, isn't it?
It is. But fingers crossed, because just looking at it from the outside, it looks like it's a good replacement for Tommy. Obviously, I think if Tommy got the chance to go over to Catalan and play over there, he owes us absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And we wish him all the best over in France. But as Saints fans, we've got to look at who's coming in next. And as it looks, this looks a decent swap almost for Tom.
I've seen people saying, well, if we're going to take Kyle Feldt at 32, why didn't we just look to keep Tommy? We're not party to everything that's gone on, but it sounds like it was just an opportunity that Tommy wanted to pursue. Given he's give what Saints all of his career, this is probably his last deal, and it's a chance for him to go to a new environment, a different sort of weather, new opportunities with his family. I don't blame him at all. So I honestly don't believe it was purely a financial thing. It was a case of probably Tommy wanting to pursue a new opportunity, and with the opportunity that presented itself with Catalan, absolutely he'll go with everyone's best wishes. And as you say, Saints have looked for that replacement. As you were saying earlier, Kevin, some fans wanted more speed, a winger with more speed. So, mate, if he coming next?
Yeah, I think obviously he's been injured. He's been over again, trying to make his way in the NRL. It's someone we've been linked to beforehand as well when he was at Wakey. Again, another one who fits kind of what we're after, as long as he's over that injury.
Yeah, it hasn't quite gone as well as he'd liked in the NRL. Obviously, there's that much competition over there. He's at the point of his career where he needs to be playing first team rugby week in, week out. For me, he can't afford to be sat in the reserve grade in the NRL fighting for a place each week, because if he does that for another year or two, then your star diminishes. If he has got a desire in the future to play in the NRL, come over to Super League again for 2-3 years, completely light it up here, and see if that opportunity re-arises, or hopefully spend the rest of your career at Saints. It's something we talked about and we mentioned on our social medias. 19th of July, when we heard the murmurings from various people that Saints were going to bring him in. Things take time to come to fruition, but it looks like this one is a goer, with respected journalists Aaron Bauer, Matt Shaw reporting it today. They're not people who generally get things wrong. When they post it, it's going to happen. It generally does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And they say it look, as you say, it takes time for these things to kind of come through. Yeah, he'd signed a 2-year deal, I think it was. So he's got a contract down there for next year. But as you rightly point out, if you do 2 years and you're not turning out every week, if you're just kicking your heels, if you're just going training, there's probably a hunger there to get back out onto the field, show what you're about. And as you say, if he signs for us for 2-3 years, comes over here, rips it up, causes a problem because the NRL come knocking and he goes back, then fair enough, because he'll have done the job that we need him to do. We're crying out for pace in that back line. We're crying out, absolutely crying out for it. And hopefully he can be someone who can provide that.
The funny thing is, you see people saying, "Oh, he wants to stay in the NRL. He's not coming back. He wants to make a go over there." That's exactly the lines I'd be putting out when I'm trying to negotiate a better contract or in contract negotiations. If you turn around and say, "Yeah, I'm 100%. I want to return to the UK," then the ball is in the club's court, isn't it? You have to make yourself hard to get. But yeah, this has been in
there's
the fire.
A game that's played.
We're iron in the fire for a while, and it's good that we're getting these over the line. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him in the Saints jersey. You remember the game he played against us for Wakefield and he scored that hat-trick?
Anything like that will do me absolutely fine. As you say, there's a game to be played here when it comes to contracts and getting best deals. And you don't just walk over to Saints and go, "I'd love to sign for you," because they go, "Okay," and start taking value off that contract because you want to be here from the offset. rather than you going, oh well, why? What would you offer? And then starting a negotiation. Yeah, it sounds again. He sounds again like someone that we want. Obviously, the work that needs doing in that back line is almost major surgery, because we do need a starting left winger, we do need a starting right winger, and we do need. I think we need a new centre, a new right centre. So it is major surgery to the three quarters, but it looks like we're trying to get them right pieces in rather than, and doing it in good time as well, rather than rushing in.
It works the other way as well, doesn't it? So like we see the club Saints saying we haven't made decisions regarding Wonga Blake, Connie Harrell, Sione Matautia. But if you suddenly announce that they're all off, then the agents of players know that you're desperate for a signing and bump figures up.
Yeah, exactly right.
And equally as well, if I'm sure we pretty much have in mind the squad we want next season and whether we want to bring the likes of Connie back. But potentially, if you want to try and get them on cheaper money, you make it look like you don't require them as much.
Yeah. Well, it's great with all this because before we started filming, I was having a little look on our Facebook and seeing how people putting out their teams that they put out in the first game next season if there's no injuries. And I know it's all a little bit of fun. There was somebody with I don't know how many like quarter players in the 17. There's 9 or 10. And I know it's all a little bit of fun, but this is where the realism comes into it when Saints are trying to get this work done early under a salary cap. It's where the realism comes into it, isn't it?
The thing for me is when the fans have been crying over the recent months about why aren't we signing players X, Y, and Z, you just have to bear with the process. Because at the end of the day, if we suddenly end up with 3 confirmed signings for next season of Saylor, Feldt, Murphy, that's 3 tremendous pieces of work in the area of the pitch that we need major surgery. And if we can get another centre as well, and I believe we are looking for another centre, I can't believe that we're going to go with the options we've got. If we can find somebody who can upgrade Blake and Harrell, you could get one in for the price of their 2 wages. It'd be a no-brainer. And all of a sudden, you've got a transformed backline, haven't you?
You have, and that's like your first choice because you see people. I've seen the question. Well, where would you play Harry Robertson next year? Harry Robertson then plays the Jack Wellsby role of a couple of years ago. You have lads who come in. I mean, look at us now. We've got Johnny Vaughan started last week. We've got Harry Robertson. We've got George Whitney. We've got Noah Stevens around the squad. George Delaney's probably had more game time than the club would have liked him to have this season because it's considering they were starting to try and rest him. You've got all these young lads, and this is before the other ones who have been injured. So, like your Dale Sambu, who may have got a start, or your Owen Dagnall, who's come in, Will Roberts, who arguably some people will argue that he was unlucky to miss out last week, and he drops out of the squad this week. You've got those lads who are still there trying to earn themselves a contract, trying to earn themselves a place in the team, whatever it might be. They'll get their chance. It just might not be in the position that they kind of want to be in. So Harry Robertson might find himself centre or wing rather than fullback or 6. Owen Dagnall, if he wants to be a centre, may end up on the wing. Johnny Vaughan may have to go and play second row for a bit rather than in the centre. I don't know where exactly they want to, but that's what happens, isn't it?
But with the way injuries are and bans are, chances are you get a lot of game time in your preferred position. Because if you based it on, okay, what's your 1 to 7 backs? What's your best back line? How many times in a season do you actually get to put that on the field?
Yeah,
5 or 6 times if you're lucky.
And that's why I say people picking the 17, yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's different opinions. And it's great to see people interacting, but this is where the realism kind of comes into it, isn't it?
Yeah. Right then, Kevin, moving on to the squad's 2 changes for Saints this week.
Yeah, as I just said, Will Roberts has dropped out, as well as Tommy Makinson. Obviously, Tommy picking up his ban after his sending off against Hull KR. Morgan Knowles comes into the squad, as does Leon Cowan. And I think Leon Cowan comes in just as a bit of cover there, with Wello saying in the week that we do have doubts over Sione Matautia and Iggy Parsi.
Interesting. Wello rode back on his comments after the Hull KR game. Is it almost like he's suddenly looked at what he's got available and gone, ooh, I can't really change much, so I better just say something different. I feel his first comments were the honest comments.
Yes. I think sometimes when you're, like after the game, when we do instant reaction, whatever you want to call it, we're saying the first thing on our mind. We're not watching the game back. We've just watched it in a stadium. We've just watched it wherever, whether it be on touchline, behind the sticks, whatever. And you come out of there and you give your honest opinion on what you think's happened. And to be fair to Wello on his first comments, the people we stand with were all saying, this isn't the kids, this is the older members of the squad. This is your more established members of the squad who are letting the kids down here.
Yeah.
So what he said did echo what the group that we stand with was saying. So was it the right thing for Wello to do? Possibly not in public. But that sentiment was matched by at least, a dozen of us in the West Stand, kind of during and after the game.
Team this week, I will go back to saying what I said after Lee. I don't want to see Wonga Blake in the Saints jersey again. No time for the man on the field. I would go Robertson, fullback. I'd go Ritson and Benison on the wings. I think John Benison needs to come back into the team. I think he's been out long enough. Centres, I think Johnny Vaughan. But pair him with John Benison. I think potentially. Do you go Matt Whitley or Sione at centre?
I was thinking this. Sione might be a good shout if you've got a bit of a doubt over him, but you think he can play, and then he's not going to do minutes in the forwards. He's not playing centrally. You're taking him out and putting him on the kind of in the centres. In which case, I'd probably put Ritson and Vaughan have played together on the right edge, albeit for Swinton, I know. You possibly put them together and you put Sione and Benison on the other side. It's just an option. I'm not saying I would necessarily go with that. I think Matt Whitley's been a little off in the past couple of weeks, whether he's carrying an injury or whether he's just out of form and it's just not working for him. I'm not sure. So maybe just playing him in the centre might just again take him out, hopefully be able to make a couple of meters on the go forward and kind of strengthen us in the backs. I think he'll go Blake though, obviously. So
let's hope not. But Johnny Lomax, George Whitby in the halves. Parsi, Delaney to start.
Lees and Delaney.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong side of the screen. Yeah, Lees and Delaney start. Whitley or Sione in your second row? Or do you play? Yeah. Then you've got Batch, Morgan Knowles, Hooker, Moses and Bai. Bench.
My thing with him, before you get onto your bench, my thing with Hooker is it needs to be better than last week. We brought Jake Burns on. The game had obviously gone. It'd gone, packed up, gone home, done. I'm not saying he would have changed that, but the passing from dummy half was pedestrian, and it allowed Hull KR to get up and into our faces so we couldn't make yards, and it stifled us. It needs to be miles better from dummy half this week. Right? It needs to be a level or two up.
Yeah. Bench, Parsi, Stevens, Burns,
Walmsley.
Walmsley. Oh,
You're
it's
not
that
naming
one.
them yet.
Sorry, it's that Walmsley and Leeds, wouldn't you? And put Delaney on the bench.
No, I think he'd
Depending
start
on his hip.
Leeds. Yeah, I think he'll start Leeds and Delaney, and then have Walmsley coming off the bench.
My four to miss out:
I think that's what he'll do.
Wonga Blake, Ben Davis, Sam Royal, and Leon Cowan.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I think Blake will play, so I think it'll be Davis missing out. Davis, Royal, Cowan, and who was the other one? Who was the other one? Well, you get the idea. It's pretty much the same, but I just think he'll go with Blake.
Okay. This is a must-win, isn't it? If Saints have any, well, not any hope of making the playoffs, if Saints want to be in the playoffs, there are two must-wins. This and Cass at home, and that should see you through and not having to be relying on trying to either beat Warrington away or Lee away.
Yeah. It's the focus for this now needs to shift away from those who can't affect Sunday to those who can. And the ones that can affect Sunday are the 17 that are picked. So effort, resilience, discipline, desire, hunger, cutting out errors are all in their hands. Forget about your Tommy Makinson, your Jack Wellesby, your Mark Percival, Lewis Dodd, Darrell Clark, James Belkis. It doesn't matter about them. It matters about these. They need to put everything together that they can control. And I mean that like discipline, not just discipline. Don't take somebody's head off and find yourself in the bin after a couple of minutes. Wonga Blake. Or same when Tommy Makinson gets sent off. You can't do that. You can't put your teammates under that pressure. Now, I understand it comes to something when I'm saying this, but on recent form, if we can't then create anything, at least just be in the game. Don't be getting blown away, especially by a team who's just shipped 60 points. They'll want to prove that they're not that bad. So you need to stay in the game. This then goes away from the players to the coaching staff. Said against Wigan, we were too flat. You're getting the ball, and we were pretty much a straight diagonal line that wasn't very deep. Wigan had runners coming through. They were throwing it miles backwards. It wasn't just like a little shovel on pass. And that falls to the coaching staff. So that falls to Paul Wellens. It falls to Lauren Fraser, who falls to Matty Smith. All of you. There's a collective effort that needs to be put into place here. I know players don't go out there to not give effort, to not play well, to give away penalties, to drop the ball. But there's a lot that you can fix up, and there's a lot that the 17 who were named on Sunday can fix. They need to do it because and Wello needs to get his message across because he's not getting a tune out of these players. We're not coming away from Wigan and from Hull KR going, yeah, it wasn't too bad, actually. We put together some nice... We're not coming away saying that. We're coming away saying they were miles the better team. What's gone wrong?
Yeah. Discipline is the only word I'll use. Kev's, the sermon is done. Huddersfield squad then, Kev?
Yeah, they're missing Sam Halsall and Jake Connor, both out for the rest of the season. I think Sam Halsall's had a wrist operation. Jake Connor's got a knee injury. Elliot Wallace, Joe Greenwood, and Adam Clune come into the squad.
On paper, we should be beating this team.
The only problem is
games aren't won on paper.
Yeah, you look at our form and how we're playing at the minutes, and this is the two tramps fighting in a ditch over the last bag of chips. Derby, this because we've been absolutely terrible. They've just been humbled by Salford. Yeah, it's a big ask. And I know people don't like using the excuse of injuries, but it's mitigation. It is a mitigation that we haven't got players here to try and start playing well. And I know we haven't played well when we've had a lot of them players in. I think my worry when it comes to the end of the season is you've got them players all coming back at about the same time, haven't you?
Yeah.
That's that's a big worry for me because I think Makinson, Percy, Dodd, and Clark would all be penciled in for roundabout Cass. Everybody else is Lee. Is that a lot to throw in?
I think basically we're just rolling the dice, aren't we? I'm going, do you know what? We'll try and get everyone back for the playoffs and just hope that everybody hits that form. But do you remember when we did it and brought players back for, was it Warrington in the Challenge Cup final?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
And we were all undercooked. But I'll be honest, I don't think we've got much choice on the matter. So
No,
we'll see. Right, Kev, predictions.
I've done Saints by 4.
I'll go Saints by 14. Look forward to it. Right, let you go. Let's crack on. I will see you Sunday. You will see your audience on Sunday.
Yes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you soon.